Welcome back to another video, gamers. So today's video is going to be a bit different from my usual content, but I've always wanted to branch out to new things, so why not? But before we get into what we're doing today, I have a special guest here with me, the continent Godzilla himself, Groudon.
Hello there.
Thanks to Groudon, this video is even possible, and if it were not for the inspiration of my Discord profile picture, these characters wouldn't even exist. After watching Across the Spider-Verse, and don't worry, no spoilers in this video, I was amazed with everything about the film, which led to my profile picture change in Discord, which then led to this video even being created. The gist of this video is taking Spider-Man and the Sinister Six and turning them into Pokemon. The process for this video was fun, and I hope you enjoy it as much as me and Groudon did. Swinging in, we have the one and only Spider Treecko. I said in the intro, this idea initially came from my Discord profile picture by Groudon. Other forms of media look at Pokemon like Greninja to be Spider-Man, but Groudon did his own twist and chose Treecko to be Spider-Man. The entire design, the colors, and the change of the spider to a Treecko logo is just amazing. But this does make me wonder, what do other Dimension Spider Treeckos look like? Or did they become completely different Pokemon with Spider-Man powers? The possibilities are endless.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We haven't even taken a look at Spider Treecko's Rogues Gallery yet.
Right, and what better villains to introduce than the Sinister Six?
Let's get this started with the first member of the Pokemon Sinister Six, Lucario. When going for a Mon to represent this tribal hunter, I knew I had to go for something that stands on two legs. Out of all the options, none seemed to better fit Craven than Lucario. Of course, I could have just taken Craven's outfit and stuck it on a Lucario, which I kinda did in my first rendition. But where's the fun in that? Instead, I made his lion jacket a Pyroar, his belt a Zebstrika pattern, and his leggings a shiny Lipar design. We also can't forget Lucario's aura bone, so I turned one end of it into a spear, and made the whole thing green because why not? When it was finished, I think the final design speaks for itself. I'm proud of how it turned out. I think Lucario makes a perfect Craven to combat the terrific Spider Treecko.
Next up, we got the shocking contender, Electrocity. The name, the entire design, along with the color changes, this thing is absolutely amazing. Get it? Absol.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Given the many Pokemon to choose from, I went with Toxtricity, mainly due to my love for it, but it also fits being Electro way more than Electabuzz. This Pokemon doesn't have much of an advantage against the amazing Spider Treecko, even though Spider Treecko doesn't have much of an advantage against Electrocity either. I do believe though that these two would put up a great fight for one another.
When coming up with a Pokemon to rep the leader of the Sinister Six, I didn't want to go the obvious route. However, try as I might, there really was no better option than Graplock. Artillery just couldn't cut it. Now I couldn't just give him the robot arms because he already has 8 limbs. Then I remembered the origin of Doc Ock from the comics. He got caught in an explosion from a failed experiment. So I figured that Graplock might have gotten his arms blown off of his body in said explosion, and he got the metal arms as a replacement. After that, all I had to do at that point was just give him goggles. And presto! We have Doc Graplocked. Spider Treecko will no doubt have his hands full when this bionic menace decides to ruin his day.
Now, flying into the ring, we have Sculpture. This Pokemon was the only reasonable choice for Vulture, at least MCU Vulture. I couldn't see any other bird Pokemon to be MCU Vulture, unless you want to talk about Lucario, which would rather fit original Vulture rather than MCU Vulture. Skarmory has a special place in my heart, and seeing this amazing take on Skarmory and Vulture fused is like a dream come true. As Groudon was whipping up this design, I did throw a small suggestion on the wings so they could look more similar to MCU Vulture, which this specific Vulture is my favorite design, even though I do like the green on classic Vulture. This character just screams danger with its stature and mossy green coloring. The design overall is excellent. If only it was a real Pokemon. Ekeko can only dream.
Speaking of MCU villains, next up is Mysterio. My immediate thought process went to Alakazam, but I quickly realized it's not known for illusion making. It's more of a mental thing, like mentally manipulating you. But then my mind went to Yusa's spooky school side story, and the Hypno segment within, thus making me remember his Pokédex entry and a rhythm game that came out over a year ago. Getting off track. Anyway, since Mysterio's basically just a guy in a suit, I made Mysterio just a Hypno in a suit. I kept the talisman coin on a string, can't have him losing that, can we? I also added smoke for theatrical effect. Without his illusions, how else would Mysterio best Spider Treecko? Fisticuffs? I think not.
Now we're getting into sandy territory. But where did all this sand come from? Well, it was none other than Palace Sandman. Now this was an obvious Pokemon to choose for this character. No other Pokemon that I can think of is literal sand. Looking at the design, this is what I call a magnificent choice of detailing by Groudon. Okay, I'll stop with the jokes now. The bits of green sand represent the shirt Sandman originally wears in his debut comic, as well as other forms of media. It's a small detail, but it makes the design way more unique and quirky to the Pokemon itself. Palossand is a solid Pokemon, but seeing it at a bigger scale here makes it even more intimidating. Given that Sandman is literal sand, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that Spider Treecko wouldn't have trouble going against this towering, formidable foe. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Spider Treecko and the Sinister Six all in one. Seeing all these characters together is just incredible. They're dynamic, the poses, everything here is just top notch.
If I were to explain how I thought up each position and the poses they're all in, it would take way too long. However, I can say that this was really hard to come up with, and I'm proud of how it turned out. Originally, I was going to have the image just be the first Spider-Man annual cover, but that's not creative, so I did my own thing. And it turns out that was the right call.
But before we end it off, there's one last thing I want to show you all. When Groudon had first brought up the idea to draw out Spider Treecko versus the Spot, I was already excited. I assumed Tupa would be used, but then I realized that would be way too cliche. Plus it's an overused character. So we had to brainstorm. What Pokemon is seen as a joke that can fit as the Spot? Watchog. It may seem like an odd choice, but it's funny, as well as being a good fit for the character. Spot has always been seen as a joke villain who is never taken seriously, until he reaches his full potential, that is, and that's when he becomes a real threat to the Spider Treecko.
And here's a picture of them fighting in a reference to Spot's first cover appearance in a comic book.
Well, that about wraps things up. Once again, huge thanks to Groudon for this entire video idea and for the art, of course, because I wouldn't have thought of this on my own. And if you liked what you saw in the video, I'd 100% recommend you subscribe to Groudon, which I'll link in the description. His channel offers great quality content, so why not give it a look after this? And if you made it all the way to the end, here's a slice of pizza. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Later, gamers.
I got like every single orb.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
We're gonna last a long time today, actually.
Yes.
Which is surprising, because normally we die really quickly.
I know.